Welcome everybody to the Geek Dad Report versus the NFL. I'm Brian West.
And I'm Ryan Thomason.
And tonight we're going to be talking about the Conference Championship Week. Yes, that is right. The NFL is down to 4 teams. We're going to talk about all 4 of those teams and who we think is headed to the Super Bowl. But first, we got to talk about last week, the divisional playoffs. Me and Ryan both made selections. I would like to point out for the record that I went 3-1 in my selections. How'd you do last week, Ryan?
I went 0-4, Brian.
Wow. You know what? This is why you should pick with me occasionally. All season long, I have throttled you. Just up and just mopped the floor with you, like up and down the season on picks. And you still have yet to learn your lesson.
It's been a complete reversal because last year I was in the situation that you were in where you were making all the bad picks and I was just cleaning up. So I guess this is my way of balancing it out.
I don't know what you're talking about. That happened a long time ago. We don't even. Those are the days that we shall not be named.
Right. You were adding the playoff games are worth 30 points because you were trying to.
Once again, Ryan, we made a solemn pact that was a mulligan season. That was our practice inaugural season. That was like we're practicing. This is the real deal. And some of us are,
So we went from
just stop making an excuse for how bad you are at this.
So we went from intramural to like professional picking.
Listen, your picks were your picks were pretty much on par with the games last week. Pretty much one-sided ass whoopings is pretty much how it went. Was there anything this last weekend? Usually divisional playoff games, you get 1 or 2 games that are pretty good. I think the Eagles-Saints game was all right, but none of these games were really in doubt.
And what do we look at our matchups? We have the number 1 seed playing the number 2 seed.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the completely boring conference championships as far as seeding goes, but last week, was there any game that really even like? The Saints and Eagles game was kind of close for a while. The Eagles looked like they might have a chance to pull that away, and then the Saints came back and played pretty well.
That was the only one that I watched all the way through. And really, the Eagles lost it, when they dropped that pass on the, 15-yard line with to go.
There was mistakes made in that game. I mean, that's so sad. The Eagles did have a chance to win that thing, and it's,
when the Saints missed that field goal, and it was like, oh, Nick Foles is going to do it again. He was driving. So
yeah, the magic ends. It's too bad. Like I said, it sucks when you lose a game that you could have won. But all the other games, I guess the Cowboys-Rams games was a little close. But honestly, watching the Rams, they were just manhandling the Cowboys. The Cowboys had no idea what was going on, and the Rams ran it down their throat.
The Cowboys only got their points in garbage time. Yeah. I mean, it's not like the only reason why it seemed like it was close is because the Rams are like, oh, whatever, and then the Cowboys are just trying to,
it's because the Rams ran so much of the clock. I mean, they ran so much it actually limited possessions and allowed the Cowboys statistically to be able to stay a little close. But it just, I don't know. I'm hoping for a much better conference weekend. Last week was really disappointing, especially wild card. There was so many good games, and already being bummed out that my beloved, blessed, greatest team in the planet, Seahawks, were eliminated the first week. I was kind of hoping for at least a couple decent games, and they just sucked.
It was a good week for the Vegas bettors to kind of even out after all the underdogs won in the first divisional round.
Yeah, I definitely think divisional weekend or wild card weekend got some bettors hyped up. And they gave back a lot of their earnings to Vegas. I don't think that's going to happen this week because I don't know. Actually, I'm not even sure who to bet on it. But, let's get into it. Let's not talk about betting. Let's talk about the games. This week we have the first game. Well, I guess we'll do NFC. It's the first game. The Rams are playing the Saints. Like Ryan said earlier, both games are the 1 and 2 seeds, which... Before we talk about the games, do you think this is good for the NFL or bad for the NFL that the top 1 and 2 seeds are playing each other? Literally, I think the same thing happened last year. Like we haven't had a winner of the Super Bowl that wasn't a 1 or 2 seed since like 2012.
Really? It's been that long?
Yeah. Like, nobody from wild card, or we haven't had. Okay, sorry, let me phrase that. We have not had a team win the Super Bowl that played in the wild card round. Yeah, so the top 2 seeds. We have not had a wild card weekend team win the Super Bowl since 2000 or even get to 2012. I think Baltimore was the last team that did it.
Yeah, Baltimore did it because I remember the Steelers did it in 2008.
Yeah, Baltimore and the Packers were the last wild card team to actually win, and they did it in 2010. But yeah, we haven't had a team that even played that first weekend. So I mean, the top 2 teams that it's been the 1 or 2 seed every year since 2012. So I guess that's my question: is this? I mean, I get it; they're being rewarded for their hard work during the regular season, and that's got to count for something. But I personally, I think winning 2 games and you're in the Super Bowl is just too easy.
Well, and remember who the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl on how many of those ones since 2012?
Well, yeah, because they basically get they get a division practically automatically every year, and then most of the time they get a first round bye automatically every year, and then a lot of times you just got to go up to they got to win a game in Foxborough, which Tom Brady's a master at snow games.
Yeah.
And there you go. They're in the Super Bowl, and if you're in the Super Bowl 12 times, you got a 50-50 chance of winning it. You're going to come home with 5 or 6.
I mean, I guess it makes sense for the number 1 and 2 seeds to be, getting this far in the playoffs, but I think the NFL is starting to become very if you're not in the upper echelon, or if you're not,
Well, I mean, it gets to the point where I know we watch all these games, but honestly, if your team's out, why even bother watching until the Super Bowl or at least the conference championship?
Yeah. I mean, not everyone can be like the Patriots, though. I mean, the Patriots have the depth, and their mode is let's just get us to January.
Listen, and then, if by depth you mean the worst division in football that they get to play every year and automatically get like 7 wins. I mean, you realize the Patriots are playing with like a +6 to start the season. Like, they automatically give them 6 wins when the season starts. It's like, here you go. You're 6. All you got to do is win, half the remaining games and you're in.
But I mean, if you look at these top teams, though, I mean, the Saints have a great quarterback. They have great wide receivers that Kamala.
Well, he's a running back, Kamara, but yeah, I mean, they do have a great wide receiver with Michael Thomas.
I mean, the Rams, I don't know, I guess they got Goff.
You're right. Not to take anything away from these teams. These teams are really good teams. I think the Patriots is an okay team. I think there's 3 really good teams and 1 good team playing this weekend. So I'm not saying that bad teams got through. I don't know. I think the NFL needs to take a look. We need to be able to get at least get some 3 and 4 seeds in the hunt for this thing, because this is just ridiculous.
Well, I'll kind of expand on what I want to, who I'm picking to go through when we get there. But I mean, hopefully some of the younger guys can start, making some big changes. Because
what if we were to take away a bye and add an extra team to the playoffs? So send 7 teams to the playoffs. The number 1 seed gets a bye, but everyone else has to play.
So that means
you get 1 more game in Wild Card Weekend.
So the only people that would have got byes this year would have been Kansas City and the Saints.
Yeah.
So that means New England would have had to play the Baltimore Ravens. I think
they would have had to play the Steelers if you go by who was next in line.
Wait, no, I would have loved this.
See, and then there's a good chance the Steelers, as the 7 seed, would probably have beat the Patriots. I think they would have.
Yeah, God, the Patriots are so garbage this year.
Anyway, that's my fix to fix this up a little bit. I mean, we've talked all season about officiating, so I don't want to add anything to that. But I think my fix would be is I really think the NFL should give one bye to the number 1 seed, so that way you got people all the way to the very end trying to get that number 1 that first round bye, and then everybody else plays. You add 1 more team to the playoffs. So you get 16 teams. Yes, that's half the league, but it would get more people excited. Yeah, you're probably going to get an 8-8 team in. You'll probably get a 7-9 team in. But hey, the last time a 7-9 team got in, my Seattle Seahawks, that was one of the greatest games anybody's ever seen when Marshawn Lynch went beastquake and somehow found a way to beat the Saints. That game was amazing.
I saw that clip the other day, and I think I watched it like...
It's the greatest run in football
history. I
history.
I watched it like 3 or 4 times in a row. And, I'm not a giant Seahawks fan, but you got to respect something. When you watch something like that, it's like...
It is the... I'm sorry. I know haven't been around for all 80 years of the NFL, but I think it's the greatest run in NFL history. It is amazing.
But that aside, there are games this weekend, Brian.
All right, so let's pick our winners and losers and get the hell out of here. So first up, like I said, we had the Rams traveling to New Orleans. New Orleans has never lost a playoff game at home, and the Rams, Jared Goff got his first playoff win last week, and they look pretty convincing, slapping around the Cowboys. So who do you got in this one?
I'm gonna have to go with the Saints just because even though the Rams got Todd Gurley, I don't think they got it to finish it off. I just don't see it coming from them. There's too much stuff going on, and I think that from what I watched last week, I just don't think they'll be able to do it against a team like the Saints. They can do it against the Cowboys because it's the Cowboys. But I don't think that they're going to be able to do that or be able to stop the Saints.
Well,
you've already seen them play twice this year at least.
I have, and I've watched the Saints play, and I was not overly impressed by the Eagles or by the game against the Eagles. And I think if the Eagles hadn't made so many mistakes, I think the Eagles could have beaten New Orleans. I think the Rams are firing on all cylinders. I think they are running the ball like they've never ran the ball. Jared Goff is a problem. He is not playing great, but Sean McVay is a freaking genius, and he is putting him in situations where he doesn't have to think, and they are able to run the hell out of the ball, which, if you want to beat the Saints, man, that might be the way to do it. So I'm gonna take. I think every weekend, every year in the conference, there's always one upset, and I think the Rams are gonna beat the Saints. I think the Saints are gonna get their first loss at home, and I think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. Which, trust me, as a Hawks fan, is not what I want to say, but I really truly believe it. I think the Cowboys were playing inspired. I think they were fired up, and I think the Rams just took them to the freaking woodshed this last week. Maybe not in the points, but they were getting manhandled on the field. And I don't think the Saints quite know what's about to come their way. I think the Rams this could be their year. We'll see.
Well, I think they already had a matchup against each other earlier in the season. Wasn't that?
Yeah, and the Saints won that one. And but it was early in the year, and it's really hard to beat a team twice. I just think the Rams are going to take this one. So, all right, you're going with the Saints. I'm going with the Rams. So, in typical fashion, we keep going against each other. I have a feeling we're going to pick against each other this next one too. Second game of the weekend is the hated, dreaded New England Patriots are heading to Arrowhead Stadium to take on Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs.
The thing about the Patriots is I don't know. It's just nothing about the team gets me excited, for one. I mean, there's not like any player where I'm like, yeah, that guy's,
Nothing about the team. I hate this team. I hate the Patriots. God. I want them to lose in the worst way.
I don't even think they have a blue chip player anymore. Honestly, they have Tom. I mean, they have Tom Brady.
Tom Brady in a wheelchair.
But he's 41 years old.
They're the epitome of a team versus a superstar, right? Bill Belichick has got to be the greatest coach ever coached football, and he gets the most out of his guys. That being said, I'm guessing the NFL MVP this year, Patrick Mahomes, is incredible. The Chiefs are like a freaking Ferrari. Mahomes didn't even throw for a touchdown last week, and they still manhandled the Colts, who might have been the hottest team in football coming into that game. So.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be cold. I would say that favors the Patriots because Tom Brady knows how to play in it. But Tom Brady's, like I said, he's 107 years old. And sooner or later, that cold's going to get into his bones, and he's just going to freeze up.
He's going to take one big hit, and then his bones are going to start snapping.
Exactly. I mean, Gronkowski is a giant walking ball of arthritis, and I can't imagine the cold's going to help that. I really think so. I'll go first this week or on this pick. I really think the Chiefs are going to handle it, man. I think this actually, I think the Chiefs personally. I think the Chiefs are going to win it all this year. I think Mahomes is incredible. I think Andy Reid is way past due, and I think this may be the team that gets them over the hump. So I know they don't have a lot of defense, but they've sure played good defense last week, and they're playing at home in Arrowhead, and that crowd is going to be fired up. I think the Chiefs find a way to handle that. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Patriots.
Sadly, Brian, I have to agree with you.
Oh my God! Wow.
Well, like you said, Mahomes, I think he is going to be a future big quarterback in the NFL. Just watching him is fun. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Chiefs games this year, but any time I did watch it, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Yeah. I mean, and he's a fun guy to watch play.
Well, and see, from my perspective, because
even though Kareem Hunt, who everyone thought was like one of the best running backs to shoot, I can't remember who's filling in for him, but
Jamal Williams.
Yes, and he's been doing a really good job. The Chiefs are solid on offense. They're pretty. I mean, their defense.
It's been suspect all season, but
yeah.
Plus, I think the NFL really wants a rematch of the Rams and the Chiefs, which had 187 points scored in that game. So
yeah.
I think they really want that for the Super Bowl.
54-51 or something like that.
Yeah, they want to get the old blood out and get the new blood in. So I think it's destiny. Plus, honestly, as a Seahawks fan, if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, the Seahawks beat the Chiefs. So legitimately, I can say the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in football.
That's how you have to
and
take it.
And that works right into my narrative. So, all right, you got anything else to say before we get the hell out of here?
No, I think that we're going to be seeing a Chiefs versus the Saints Super Bowl.
And I think it's going to be the Chiefs versus the Rams. So one of us is going to have to be right. You guys tune in next we'll do the Super Bowl show the week for the Super Bowl. So tune in 2 weeks. You'll find out whether I was right, of course I'll be, or Ryan was right. And until then, let us know who you guys got in the comments below. Tell us who you got, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and all those great things. So until next time, everybody, thanks for joining us. And go Hawks!
And go Steelers.
Losers. Later.